All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the official Trade Talk channel where I show you how I analyze price for the most consistent and higher probable entries to help you all become better traders. This morning we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We got Aussie Yen, Aussie Swiss, couple Forex things we're going to look at, and as well as, when the market opens, we'll look at some of that stuff as well. I do have Bitcoin pulled up here on the 5-minute time frame. You can see that the point of control is currently setting roughly around the high of day. This will be the low of day as the box outlines your daily range. And you can see right there is the high of day. So normally when we look at stuff like this, we wouldn't necessarily be wanting to take a long position up in here because the market is chopping around at the top or around the high. But we did this morning. We were watching right in here. We were watching 30-minute support because we didn't have any hourly supports. So we were watching this price right here. And on this push lower, you can see that it didn't get quite down there. But if you would have been watching the 5-minute Heath level that was down there, then you could have potentially taken a decent order. And that was right there. So my trade got filled on this candle right there, pushed into me here. That filled it. And then it played around here. And then when we came back down on this 5-minute candle, it was starting to look a little bit iffy. I had to stop down here below this wick because I wasn't going to give it much room. And the reason why I'm not going to give it much room or wasn't going to give it much room was because of the point of control. It basically is telling us that, there's a good chance that there's a lot of people trying to sell this because the near-term trend is down. Bitcoin got absolutely mauled last week to the downside, and let's be honest, since Friday, you've done nothing. So yeah, that's the reason why we're looking for longs. We're looking for a pullback back up to weekly supply. It's as simple as that. If you want to know, like what the main game plan was coming into this week, today's Tuesday, so still kind of early into the week, but we were looking for a potential weekly low to get long. But I'm not awake during the London session. And, for the last couple days, last couple weeks, actually, the London session has been the better moves. All right. So as you can see here on this hourly time frame, I do have hourly resistance right there. So getting an entry here, taking profits there, not the biggest trade in the world. But if you use leverage, you know what I mean? That is a nice trade. So when we got up into this region right here, I went ahead and took off 2/3 of the position. My stop is now setting at break even. So the position size that I am currently in now is still a decent sized position because of leverage. And even though I don't like it, like per se, the best in the world, and, I can clearly see with the point of control being up here that people are trying to take a short, obviously keeping in line with the current trend. We did take out yesterday's high with this push right there. And like I said, low of days down there. So you're trying to get long roughly around the top of the range. So yeah, it's not a very big trade, right? But now I already took profits, so I made my money, moved my stop to break even, so I don't care if it comes back down and takes me out of the trade. When you're trying to be successful at trading, a lot of people miss the main goal. And the main goal is to get in the market with your risk capital, and then get out of the market with more than you went in the market with. That is successful trading. If you can do that 2 to 3 times a week, every single week, you're going to be rich beyond all your comprehensiveness. All right. Let me go over here and do this real quick. All right, so the other asset that we're looking at, and then we'll start looking at answers, is Aussie Yen. So if we go over here to the daily time frame, you're going to see that, earlier today it was green. You made a low of day during the London session. Once again, you can see here on the daily you are above the 50. And if I put the moving averages up, you're going to see that the 21 is currently underpriced. Yesterday was a retest of it. There's daily supply. So you closed above daily supply here. Yesterday, you couldn't get anything going. So actually, yesterday looked as if though there was a potential for supply to smoke everybody or to see this thing roll right back over. But in my opinion, and my rules say that if you're above the 21, you can look for longs. And if you're above the 50, you can look for longs. It's just a trend metric. Your moving averages are trend indicators. And the oscillator just basically shows you who's in control on a bigger scale as far as like the dailies go, right? Because we're intraday traders, we're constantly looking for those high probable entries inside of the daily range. Also, we're always trying to nail the weekly. So right there's your weekly open on this. Last week, you can see, was a pretty nasty candle. It did close well up into there. So I don't know if that means buying pressure or not. But obviously on the weekly, you're bullish. You're bullish on the daily. Everything's bullish. So we know we don't want to take a bearish entry when everything is bullish. We have hourly support right there, as that is the lowest close for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. That's been the lowest close you could do. There's nothing that says that this candle won't close down here. You can see hourly demand right there. So that's essentially all I'm basing the trade on. My target is going to be up in this area here, looking for a run above the daily high. All right, so that's that. And then the other one was Aussie Swiss, and that's just based on not a whole lot, right? Aussie Swiss is absolutely disgusting. See, this one looks opposite, right? I know there's a lot of lines right here, and it looks a little bit choppy and crazy, but let me go over this, what I'm actually thinking about. So here is the 21 exponential on this. So you can see how you're structured differently on this asset, meaning Aussie yen was more bullish because you're above the 21, above the 50. Aussie Swiss, not so much. You're below the 21, below the 50. So you could look at this as a potential sell entry if you wanted to. I have weekly supply there. You can see that's where price has been currently struggling. And then old daily supply here, which we're well above it now. That would have been this bullish candle right there. So as you can see, yesterday you traded right up to daily supply. You pulled back for the close. Whenever you close real close to a supply level or a demand level, there's a pretty good chance that the next day is going to be testing it again. If your short trade on a supply level is going to work, after you take out the previous day's high, you want to see rejection at that level. You can clearly see that today on Aussie Swiss. You took out yesterday's high and you're trading well above it. You also have 2-week demand right there. And here is your monthly open for August. So now currently today you are, well, as of yesterday, bullish on the month. All right, but it's choppy sideways, right? The monthly range is not very big. As in a matter of fact, here is the first day of the month. You've literally went nowhere. You made a monthly high, came back in, made a monthly low. Now you're trading just above the monthly open. It is a little bit late in the month to look for monthly range expansions, but with that being said, Aussie yen looks like a long, so I would probably suggest not shorting Aussie Swiss because Aussie yen looks like a long. Now, if Aussie yen fails, because it is currently red on the day, it is currently not working out, then you can look to potentially short Aussie Swiss. It is two different assets, being the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, but I have that actually pulled up here. So you can see that the Swiss franc is clearly beating the Japanese yen. And the reason for that is because they got really aggressive on their rate hikes, the Swiss National Bank. So the currency likes that. It's been outperforming the yen by a ton. So, yeah, it is what it is, right? It's just one of those things, trading FX. We don't know which side is going to work, but I like Aussie yen the best as far as the potential setup goes. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Obviously, I have it already taken the trade. Bitcoin is still struggling inside of the daily range. You have not made a new high yet. You can see here is your daily chart, and man, it looks disgusting, right? We wouldn't typically be trying to take longs down here because obviously the market's rolled over. It's bearish. Everything looks nasty. But the thing is this is a very big range candle. We've already looked at the liquidations, but let's go ahead back and look for anybody that is new to the channel and don't understand what we're talking about here. But on Friday, you had this massive drop. The white line is price. The orange line is your liquidations. You can clearly see how many longs were liquidated on that move lower. Right there. So that's a massive spike. It's $155 million across all exchanges. So big spike in longs We've also been watching the put to call ratio to see if it starts to trail up as price moves up. You are finally now starting to get that, it's basically sideways, but you are starting to see it, get a little bit higher. But here's the thing. You want to see this climbing as price is climbing. So when price is up at the top of the range of the Bollinger Bands or whatever indicator you like to use to show you that a market is potentially overbought, if you start to see the put to call ratio climb as the market is pushing up into those overbought regions, as well as open interest moving up, there's a pretty good indication that you're at a potential turning point in the market. We can go look at futures open interest here, and you can see that even though we destroyed $155 million worth of liquidations, it didn't really do a whole lot to the open interest. So this can be suggestive that we're going to see more downside because as price was climbing, so was open interest. Once we topped out, we got a big spike to the downside. So the way I'm looking at it is I think the lows are in. We are going to be waiting on August's CPI print, which will come next month in September. We're getting near the end of the month here, so the August CPI should be in September around the 10th. If it's lower than last month's, then I do think the market will take that extraordinarily bullish. I think the market has believed that inflation is topped out. You can see that Bitcoin is struggling at the highs. It's one of those scenarios where you have this big wick to the downside, so it looks like a lot of buying pressure, but you don't have anything going on to the upside here. So you're basically struggling with the open. This is typically where you want to look for short trades. And to be honest with you, if yesterday's low was still intact, I would not have been looking for a long today, based solely on the fact that during the London session, the London Open, you pushed down, took out yesterday's low, and then immediately got a bearish reaction from that. A bullish reaction from that. So that is the only reason why we're looking for longs. And another thing is we think that the market is going to slowly trade up to around at least Friday's midpoint or up here to weekly supply. That is where you can potentially look for new short trades. You don't want to short it at the lows. It doesn't make sense to look for short trades at support. It makes more sense to look for long trades at support. So that's technically what we're doing, and we're looking for it to trade up or back up to at least 22.3. So it'd be $22,300, be the midpoint of this daily candle. If we go to the weekly time frame, you're going to see that basically there is your weekly supply at 23,180. If I pull or if I put a fib on this or last week's range, you can see the 618 plus the 50% retracement levels are both on either side of your supply zone, as well as the 200 simple. Wait, what is this? That is not it. This is it. So there is your 200 simple. This is the thing that everybody's got their eyes on mostly because, basically in Bitcoin's history, anytime that you've been trading at or under the 200 simple, you've technically wanted to be bullish, not bearish. That's been in the past, right? Doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. But probabilities say I would rather be a buyer under the 200 than I would be a seller. That's all I'm trying to say. All right. So yeah, you can take that for however you want. If you think Bitcoin's going to zero because the world is ending, hey, go ahead, take a short. Right? It's $22,000. That's a lot of money to the downside if it goes back down to zero. If the low is in, well, there's a pretty good chance you're going to miss it if it does indeed start to trade back out of this region. All right, there is the weekly high. This is a bearish engulfing. So technically on the chart, if you're a technical analyst, you're going to be looking to sell simply because last week put in a bearish engulfing to the downside in a range that has been struggling to get any kind of bullish momentum at all. All right. But all in all, you're still trading inside of this damn week's candles range. So you haven't done anything, right? You haven't went anywhere. You're not trending. This is the very definition of not trending. When you're trading inside of another candle's range, that means you're in inside range. You're inside of a candle's range. You have to take out the candle's high or the candle's low in order to be considered trending. Now, this is the candle that when Luna essentially went out of business, they had to liquidate all their Bitcoins. They own so many of them that this is what you're getting that for. Oh, this is, in a sense, what we were looking for as the capitulation, right? And it wasn't just retail that was capitulating on this final stab lower. It was also Luna. A lot of people selling all their Bitcoins as Bitcoins making its move to the downside. We know from blockchain data that there's a whole lot of people that are underwater still, but they are still holding. Bitcoin is the best asset in the world for turning traders into hodlers, because essentially they buy the highs and then they set in that trade for until Bitcoin gets another bull market phase. Now, we are still 2 years away from the halving, so I mean, anything can happen from here, right? Anything can happen from here, but we have to work with the data that we have. And currently, I think the low's probably in. You are setting at weekly support. This is only, there you go. This is only 2 days into this week's range. 2 days into this week's range. So if we struggle to make any bullish move today, and you can clearly see that this weekly range is tiny, and it's probably going to stay tiny. I'm not looking for a big range expansion this week, because typically when you liquidate, a lot of people have a big range expansion. The next couple candles are probably going to trade inside of the big candle for a while. Same scenario that we still have going on when you made this big ass down move candle, right? You're still trading inside of it. Still trading inside of it. So we could probably trade inside of this candle for another week, all week, and then maybe even into next week. So the trade on this might not even be anytime here in the near future. But it is Tuesday, and we do look for. So since I took profits, I did get stopped out just now on that move. Fantastic. It was a fantastic trade. Massive money. I love this platform. It's Bitget. You can trade with a lot of leverage on it, and it's got less fees and all that good stuff. So give them a shot. There's a link in the description. Use referral code XTSC. So let's go back over here to the intraday time frame so we can see if indeed the sellers are going to win out. The reason I got stopped out was because I moved my stop above my entry, so that way I could keep some of those profits. Right? All right, so back over here to volume, or the point of control, which is just volume profile. It's up at the top, right? What I was expecting is Bitcoin to kind of trade sideways here a little bit. And then if it was to be able to get above that point of control and stay above it, then we could see a nice move to the upside. We've already taken out yesterday's low and high. You are a bullish engulfing. Well, you're not bullish engulfing now because the open's so high. Right there's your open, that candle. So here's your open of the day. Point of control setting dead smack on the open of the day, which means that, hey, people are trying to sell it, right? And as long as you're below that, you're bearish. So if today does close below 21,396, you will have a bearish engulfing on the daily time frame. And, you can look for sells the next day, right? Sometimes it takes a couple days for these things to situate themselves. Aussie yen moving up. It was 0.10% to the downside. You can see that now it's 0.08. It may just be choppy today. We'll see what happens. I don't know why this stop is that far down. I don't need it that far down. I just need it to be underneath the bullish candle there. Also, that make the risk to reward a little bit better as well. So, yeah, that's that. Aussie Swiss getting that move to the upside. I was looking for the entry on this. It didn't give me one. Not one that I liked. Pound dollar broke down yesterday, as well as everything else. You've seen that I got an alert there on DXY. Let's go take a look at it. The alert was just setting at intraday supply. I'm not looking for this to roll over. It's been so bullish the last 6 days. And whenever something's doing that, we typically look for that trend to continue. And it looks like it is trying to continue. But if it was going to be a short today, that would be a good spot to look for it to top out. 108.60 637 was your August high. You have been making fresh monthly highs. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that was daily resistance. But you have been making fresh August highs since this candle here. So since that candle, almost every single day subsequent to that candle has been a fresh August high. So that is your monthly range expansion taking place on the dollar. And it looks like it's trying to liquidate that swing high right there. So that would be the target if you were looking for trades on the dollar. And you would be doing that by looking to short the Euro USD. And as you can clearly see yesterday, we got below parity and we took out that swing low. Not only did we take out that swing low, we closed below it. Today, you are seeing continuation as you took out yesterday's low. So this thing is textbook trending to the downside. Where will it stop? Nobody knows. It's been absolutely bearish this whole entire year. It's been such an easy methodical trade all the way to the downside. If you are looking for bullish entries still yet on Bitcoin, I think as long as you're not closing half-hour candles, because there wasn't any hourly supports. Let's go look at it. Below this one, I think you're still in good shape, right? And obviously, if you're looking for shorts, you want to take your short entry right here. Boom, right? And it gives you good risk to reward. Let's get rid of the open. This is the daily open, but we don't really need it since the daily open is so close to intraday support and resistance. Basically a bull flag, if you will. But it is getting a little bit long in the tooth for it to break out or, trade like it. Currently, it does look like more people are buying because the blue is buys, the yellow is sells. We can get that exact information. Now, this is on the Coinbase exchange, so naturally these volume numbers are Coinbase. If you look right here, when I scroll over the volume nodes, you can see the numbers change. Blues buys, yellow sells, the white number is total. So on this big candle, your point of control, you can clearly see that there's been 745 Bitcoins bought at that price. There's been 473 Bitcoins sold at that price. So as of right now, where the point of control is a lot more buys than sells. But this will change as time moves forward, because the longer price trades around the open, the more and more volume is going to stack up there. And most of it's likely to be sellers, right? Most people are looking for shorts on Bitcoin right now. And it's to be expected. The thing is trending to the downside. Got a nasty candle last week. So yeah, there was your bullish trend candle made after the entry. Right there, push down, entry, bullish expansion to the upside. You even closed above. Well, it's so close. So close. And then this one just completely engulfed it. So you don't want to take it there. You just watch this on a 30-minute closing basis, because it is a 30-minute candle. As long as you're not closing bearish candles under that price, you could still see this thing rip to the upside. The reason it's choppy here is because so much volume is being thrown down right there. If you look at it, but in range-bound choppy conditions, we don't typically look for trending. We don't look for the markets to trend when it's range-bound and choppy. But whenever you take out a previous day's low and then get such a reaction, look at this. Look at that move, right? Let me find yesterday's. Let's go on the hourly. Let's just go ahead and get yesterday's low. So that's going to be yesterday's low right there. So you took it out at 1 a.m. in the morning. 2 a.m. is when the London session opens. Push lower just to go ahead and take out anybody who got long a little bit early. And then straight up took out the high of day. All right? That's August 22nd. So August 22nd. Today is the 23rd. So this was your high of day. And you can see that you took it out. So as soon as you took out the low of day, you went right up, took out the high of day. It's anybody's guess where it's going to go from here. But I was kind of hoping that would go up. So yeah, there's that. We'll keep an eye on it, and volume's going to change. The SPX 500, which is a CFD, so if you're in America, you can't trade that. I trade this via the SPY on a different exchange on Thinkorswim. And that's basically how I trade it. Right now, it looks bad, right? It looks really, really bad. Here's your daily range. This is the the low of the week, and you can see that you almost took it out. Why is that important? Well, if you take out that candle, man, it's going to look like this bullish close above the 50% retracement of the entire bear market is going to look like a trap. Sorry, there's the low of the week. So it was the day before. So yeah, if you take that out, it's going to look like a trap. This is where we were potentially looking for support to hold, because it held as resistance right there a couple weeks ago. When price trade up to it, it spent about 4.5 days at weekly resistance until it finally broke out. So the fact that it didn't stop there does look like maybe it's going to look for lower prices. If you take out $4,111, I will absolutely be looking to sell it. All right. The problem is it didn't happen in 1 week like it did on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin, this took place in 1 week. Last week, you took out the high, then the low, bearish engulfing. So the fact that that the SPX didn't do it last week, it's doing it this week. It's not nearly as bad, but it just makes it more difficult to look for those entry places. So last week or Saturday, what I said is if you take out that low, that's why I couldn't delete it. If you take out that low, I would be looking for that weekly bearish engulfing's midpoint to look for short entries. Since you didn't get that, you'd have to go based on this candle, and that's only if it gets down below that low. So if it goes down below that low, we're going to look for a midpoint check of that, or even possibly up into the open, and look for bearish entries. But that has to happen first, and it hasn't happened. And since it didn't, like I said, since it didn't happen in 1 week, it doesn't have me like really bearish. In fact, it just looks like a pullback. Just looks like a pullback. I mean, you've been bullish, and you've been really bullish for a couple weeks now. So, in the longer scale of things, you got a little bit of momentum there yesterday, didn't you? Broke from overbought all the way back down to the midpoint on the RSI. Currently, daily support is holding, and it will be holding until you get a daily close under it. And right in there, that wick, I think, is going to be your weekly low. Let's just go ahead and get the weekly low back up there so we know exactly which day it is. Yeah, it's that bearish day right there. So the actual bearish candle that the low is what we're watching is actually the candle that is currently holding as support. And then here's what it looks like intraday, right? Nothing. You got up into resistance, and then you have so far stalled out, and you're getting a small, slow, methodical pullback. As long as you're trading above this on an hourly closing basis, I think you can see it at a pullback day, meaning, just a slow range to the upside, kind of pulling back off of yesterday's momentum. That's basically it, right? But as of right now, it looks extremely bad. I mean, that's a one-sided move. This was the breakout above weekly resistance, and as you can see, right back down below it. So it doesn't look great. It is starting to look more and more like it is trying to build in a trap. So what we can do is let's pull up the actual asset itself and not the CFD. Here we go. We want to go to the weekly. So since we're live, let's go ahead and discuss this real quick. So basically, there's people are out there saying that if you got above that on a closing basis like we did, then that signifies that you're probably never going to see fresh lows on the bear market, simply because it's never happened before. But they're wrong, right? We can go right over here to the 2008. Right here is 08. And you can see that this is 20%. Well, it's not quite 20%. There, 20%. So that's what indicates a bear market. So when they say in a bear market, it's never came back to the 50% retracement and made fresh bear market lows. They're absolutely, clearly, 100% mistaken. This is a pullback from the swing high to the bear market low at that time. This would have been your bear market low. You can see we got the almost exact same scenario that we got going on right now. Now, if you remember, I was talking about how this time the SPX has taken 2 weeks to revisit that bullish candle's low. In 2008, it only took 1 week. So that would have been the low that we're signifying now, 41.11. That's the same signification, or whatever you want to call it. You can see how you got a bearish engulfing. You took out the high of that week, took out the low. So where would have been a good place to look for entries on the pullback or the retracement? The 50% retracement of your bearish engulfing candle right there would have been the best short in 08. Well, once the bear market rally happened, right? Because there's your bear market hitting 20% with this candle's low. Boom, right up to the 50% retracement, showing us a weak hand, meaning bearish engulfing. So then waiting for the next week to pull back halfway into last week's candle, look for your short entries. The market's a lot more nifty or fake outy, if you would say, now than it was back in 08, because there's a lot more market participants now than there was in 08. Based on, technology, the fact that retail traders like myself, like you, are able to take these entries right from their home offices. So that has changed a lot. Meaning that means there's a lot more people participating. But here you go, right? Same scenario. Up above the 50% retracement, and there's the low. So if the next day or two, and this is Tuesday, so make no mistake about it, this candle, if the high is in for the week, is going to take out that low, right? But you don't have that single bearish engulfing. So it's going to make the entry a little bit more muddy, if you will. I guess what one could do is, wherever this candle low ends up being, I guess one could essentially just take it from that swing high, and then let's say it closes or gets a wick down to there, right? Then you would be looking for a retrace on the next week or two to pull back up into the 50% retracement. And that, my friends, is where you would be wanting to look for your short entries. If you think you're going to see fresh bear market lows. Because not everybody's bullish. A lot of people are bearish right now. Lots and lots of them. All right, let's see some more of these answers. Questions, I'm sorry. Good morning. Good mornings. Lots of mornings. Can't hear, can't see. Yeah, that's because I was doing other things. Trying to get the stream ready. All right. So let's get back to these questions. Green on risk for the rest of the week? No, probably not. There is a chance that this could set the weekly low. Since it is Tuesday, there's a chance that this could be the low and it slowly trades away from it for the rest of the week. It is possible. But that was a lot of bearish momentum going on there on the SPX, right? Lots of it. Bitcoin was the leader in this scenario. And I was wondering if it was the laggard, and if it was just doing its own thing compared to risk, then we were, potentially going to look for Bitcoin to find support and go higher, because the risk wasn't acting in the same fashion, or not even close. It was just barely pulling back. A lot of people are looking for this area, obviously, to get long again. And you can see how bad that was, because you got a really big drop to the downside. That's your liquidation. That's where your liquidation occurred, right there. A lot of people looking to buy that. So when we traded into it yesterday and then closed back above it, I'm assuming a lot of people bought calls. A lot of people bought it looking for that to be the pullback, because you did have somewhat of a trend going on here. The trend is way too parabolic for my liking. So once you broke down, that would have been a good indication of maybe not looking for longs. But if it's a straight up trend line, it's going to get broken down even if the market just trades sideways. But there is a little bit of bearish aggression coming in there right now. All right. So I don't know if the low of the week is in yet. If you start to trade away from it, then maybe. But the problem is not only did you liquidate yesterday's low, you're trading well under it. So at this point, where does the bullish entry occur? Because you are literally trying to pick pick the bottom of a falling knife. You got daily support right there. Since you have this gap up, and the gap up was so big from this daily closure, that is technically going to be supply or demand, right? Right there. Because if you have all data, 24 hours data in this candle, you're going to see that it opened there at the close of yesterday's candle and then had a bullish expansion. So instead of looking at this as a gap, just pretend that it's all just one big green candle, because it is, right? The way these candles work is they open and close. And wherever they close, the next session is supposed to open at the same exact price where it closed. Because there's literally 1 second that separates the close, right? 1 second. Boom. Then your close happens, and then your next range opens. Now, in the stock market, it's different. 4 o'clock it closes. But the SPX is a 24-hour traded market. Not a lot of brokerages out there that will allow you to trade it like that, but it is that. That is what it is. So here's that same bearish candle. You see, right? On the SPX, you just gapped up there. But that's what it looks like on the CFD. You opened at the same exact price you closed at. You pushed down a little bit, boom, up. So technically, that makes this candle supply, but on the demand. But on the CFD, yesterday we closed below it. So I wouldn't be looking for that to hold. The only thing that you can watch for now is support. And as long as it's not able to close, I don't know, say hourlies under that, then you're probably safe, all right, for another push up. But I'm not looking for a big push up, just a slight push up. And if that's the case, then this candle right here will be the weekly low. If you can't hold here, if you take that out, I expect today to do exactly what yesterday did, and that's open and go lower. I mean, it instantly went lower yesterday. So right here is yesterday morning. This is where we were watching on the live stream yesterday morning. We were watching the open of the market happen, and then straight down, and then down, right? Down. The last down move was made during the London session. That's why you got the spike going on there. Similar to what happened on Bitcoin, but on Bitcoin, the London Open took out the high of the previous day as well. A lot of stuff. Boom, here we go. Yo, good mornings, good evening. Jimenez, got to start using the POC indicator. It just shows you, where the point of control is. Just lets you know that's the part of the daily candle where the most volume has been traded. Doesn't tell you really if it's buying and selling, and it doesn't even matter, right? Because the market it's a zero-sum game. There has to be a buy for every sell for every buy. Liquidity providers provide that liquidity for you and I to take those trades at basically any price we see fit. So yeah. It's not going to be a good indicator to look for taking positions from, but it can definitely help you in your bias for sure, 100%. I know a lot of professionals that only use that. They make their complete and total trading decisions based off of that. Good evening for those lucky ones trading the Asian market in the afternoon. Well, if it's evening for you, you're trading a New York session in the afternoon. No hard feelings. Not sure what you mean by that. Good morning. Good day, everybody. Good day. Maybe Starlink? Yeah, me and Starlink don't agree with each other. I did have a Starlink. I had it for a couple months. I was about $800 into it. I never did get it to work. They never did send me a new dish. So I sent it back to them and asked for a refund. They gave me back $200 of my $800. So I'm not very, to me, Starlink is a pile of garbage. I'm sure it works for other people, obviously. They're selling like hotcakes. I just had a faulty machine, and since they don't have customer service, it's really difficult to get them to either A, fix it, or B, ship you a new one. So after a month of it, I mean, well, it's actually 2 months. They charged me for 2 months of service, and it never came on. Every time I moved everything, I cut trees down, like the machine, the dish was broken. It just said booting, booting, booting forever. It could never get done booting. Yeah, no, I'm waiting. Verizon's supposed to be laying fiber optics down through here. It's just the location. My location sucks. Apparently, even for Starlink. BTC right at last month's close. Yep. Yeah, it's not really gone anywhere. That's why, right? It's not really gone anywhere. Well, it's not right at last month's close. There's last month's close. And we did get long on the July open, right? This is the July candle. We did get long on the July candle at the lows. We were looking for it to be the lows. It was the lows, but it just didn't get anything going. It was just sideways all month. And then here we are, August, and literally the 23rd day of August. So, I mean, the month is pretty much over with at this point. You got, 8 days left, and then you got a new monthly, September's candle. August, September, one could even say July, August, September, and even into the early stages of October has typically been the seasonality has typically been, those few months are what we call the doldrums, where a lot of market participants aren't in the market, because, whether they're on vacation or they just know that historically, seasonality, they don't want to be in the market in August because it's either doldrums or choppy sideways back and forth price action. It just makes it difficult to trade, so a lot of people don't even trade it. Around October, once you get past October, that's basically when market participants start to kick back up. And the reason is because they're doing portfolio rebalancement for the end of the year, right? That's why your volume, or that's why you get seasonality. That's why seasonality even works. It's based on that. But I'm not a seasonality guy. I'm a day trader. And I can find opportunities inside of the market, inside of a daily range or a weekly range every week of the year. I don't give a crap what month it is. It's just, I'm not looking for a massive trend expansion, right? I'm not looking for that expansion. I'm just looking to trade the ranges. Bitcoin is kind of taking down. Let's see if we did get below that monthly support. I mean, not much. 30-minute support. It's intraday support. It's the only one we have. The hourly looks worse, right? You just got 3 big bullish candles on the hourly. So maybe it's looking to take out this wick low right there. Maybe it finds support there. We'll be live until the New York stock market opens at 9:30 because that's the last part of the day where you get the volume, right? Asian session kicks off the 24-hour markets. That's where you first volume. That's the first volume of the day because the daily range starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the daily open, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tonight at 8 p.m., that's when today's range will end. Tomorrow's range will begin. That's also when the Asian session takes part. So the first part of the candle range comes from the volume from the the Asian session. Then the halfway point is the London session, and that is why the London session usually calls the higher low of day, because that's the midpoint of the daily range. You get the most volume then, and then New York comes in, and that's usually New York is the volume that basically gives you your trending for the rest of the day, right? So Asia sets in the low or high of day sometimes, and if it doesn't, then the London session comes and sets the higher low of day, and then the New York session rolls around and you get a pullback of the daily range and then trend continuation, usually, right? Only on, like, when you get those high news event risk items, then you can see, like, in 30 minutes a fresh daily high and low during the New York session, but that's based on the news. But on a normal standard 24-hour period of trading, that's basically how everything works. So at the New York stock market open at 9:30, that's when you're going to see the most and last bit of volume for the day. That's why I'm pretty much done trading at 10 o'clock every morning, right? Because of that. Let me get some water. All right. Looking good. Good stuff. All right, there we are. Yeah, good morning, Brian. Don't forget the MT Mt. Gox funds are dumping in the market. This is true. I'm sure of it. Good morning, Heath. You're going to zero. I doubt it. Heath, could you do a macro analysis on Sol USD on Coinbase? Yeah, let's go look at it. Macro. So it's back at its opening price. Well, whenever Coinbase decided to list the asset on their exchange, so you're trading right back at the open when that occurred, or the ICO. Well, I don't know if it's the ICO of Solana, but it's when Coinbase started listing the coin. You can see that's where you're currently trading. So technically, that doesn't look great. It doesn't look good at all. I mean, on a yearly basis, you're going to have a big move up and then almost an engulfing. So not really great. Give me 1 second. Let me lower this desk so I can sit down, and then we will continue with Solana. All right. So, so it looks bad. I mean, we can see that it's pretty much, since it made its high back there in November 2021, that's basically when we started to become sellers. Because the Fed was changing the monetary policy. It was doing a complete 180-degree turn from what it currently was doing. So we were looking for a risk to come off. We were looking for Bitcoin and everything else to find resistance. Since then, you've done pretty much the same thing. You had an expansion from November all the way until you get your fresh yearly open, which was there. Then you had another impulse leg to the downside. We traded sideways for several months or a couple months, and then we traded up. This was like a bear market rally, made a fresh 2022 high, and then that's where also we got short. So that's where we're currently at on most risk assets. Like all your cryptos and everything look very similar to this chart, because most of the liquidity providers that provide liquidity for Bitcoin are also doing it with other assets. That's why they look that's why they resemble each other so much. Not all of them. I'm just saying the majority of them, right? And so far, since you've made this low down here, the difference from Solana and Bitcoin is when Bitcoin had the blow off or had the capitulation move to the downside, it stopped. Like that's where its lows were. You can see Solana made fresh lows before it finally got the bounce. From the lows, you're not up very much, right? Where you're currently trading, you're only up 36% from the lows. So to me, this isn't one of the better assets to trade if you are looking to capitalize on those range expansions, simply because you've only moved up 38%. So it's lagging other cryptos, right? Same thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was only up at like 40%, whereas Ethereum made it all the way up to 130%. So being long Ethereum at the lows would have made you 3 times as much money as being long Solana or Bitcoin. So it looks to me like it resembles Bitcoin. It looks to me that it's probably going to trade and do whatever Bitcoin does. So if the lows are in for Bitcoin, there's a pretty good chance that the lows are in for Solana, right? But if the lows aren't in for Bitcoin, then the lows aren't going to be in for Solana either. So you can see, like, if I take a Fibonacci retracement tool, let's get it over here so I can actually use it. Put the Fibonacci retracement tool on the low and take it all the way back up to, this range is high. You can see that currently you're finding support at 618 retracement. And you've been holding support for 4 days, counting today, including today. So is this a good area to look for longs? If the low is in, yes, right? If the low is in, then yes. Is it worth it to me to add to my risk, like my hodl position? If I own Solana and I was hodling it, would this be a good area to look for buys? 100% yes. Yes. Right? Yes, it is. Now, if the lows aren't in, you'll know that pretty much by breaking down and closing, a weekly or something below that. If you get under the 618 and you start trending under it, then you can exit that position. Just don't use leverage. This way, you don't lose nearly as much money. So if you buy Solana at $35, right? And then you make fresh lows and you keep making fresh lows down into here, then you can exit it and all you've lost was $4 on each coin. But if you use leverage, you're going to lose your entire account if it moves low, right? So don't use leverage. Now, is it in a good spot to look for leverage longs? Yes. As long as daily support holds $35.29. If today's candle closes under that, then no, you're not looking for longs. Would I short it here? No, absolutely not, because this could be support. This could be where the market turns around. And that's about as macro as I can do on it. I don't know, like, their white papers. I don't know its use case. I don't know how popular or unpopular it is. I don't know what it's trying to do. Why is it valuable? I know none of those answers. I am a price action trader alone. I just make my trading decisions based on price charts. And we're technically in a decent spot to look for bullish entries, even though last week was a very, very brutal downside candle. Very, very brutal. You took out last week's low as well, already on Solana. So what I would have been doing is I would have been waiting for entries there. That's where I would have taken my long entry if I was trading or watching Solana. I would have waited for the liquidation of last week's low, then I would have put in a long position using the current weekly low as my stop loss. And if you've done that, you're doing okay, but it's not great. It's not great. So there's when you liquidated the lows. That was the low. There was the liquidation. You can see that you're not trading very far off of that. And it's been a few days since you took it. Right? But if you pull back down to this area again, as long as you're not closing dailies below daily support, I think you're safe to look for long trades on it. So if we go back to Bitcoin and do the same exact thing, I guess we can do it on that since it hasn't went anywhere. Well, no, we can't. All right, so let's do it this way. So if we do the same thing on Bitcoin, right, we're just measuring where the 50% retracement or the 618 retracement is from the current range low to the current range high, because you know just as well as I know this is your low, that's your high, because that's your range. So that's when you started trading sideways, hence there's your range. So your range looks like this, right? That's your range, your monthly candles range. And if you're looking at it that way, you're trading real close to the 618 retracement. So if this is going to be the low, the same scenario applies to Bitcoin. If this is going to be the low, then this is a good place to look for longs. Now, with the caveat that no man or woman alive knows what price is going to do ever, right? You're here because you want to learn how to take high probable entries. You're sick of taking longs at the top of a daily candle and getting stopped out the next day. You're sick of buying the tops. You're sick of selling the lows. That's why you're here. right? So as of right now, from this range-bound price action, the last 2 months candles, if you will. So here it is. There's your range low. There's your range high. So that 2 months candles, you're trading closely to the 618 retrace of that range. So yeah, that's why I'm looking to get long. Unfortunately, I couldn't get long down here. Also, unfortunately, Bitcoin didn't liquidate last week's low. Right? You didn't liquidate it yet. So taking bullish entries on Bitcoin for the last 2 days has been tricky. Very tricky. There's your low for last week. So that could still be in play. Like if today's volume gives us a downside expansion, then if we take out this low and then get back above it, I will look for bullish entries there as well. Right? Because you've liquidated last week's low, and if you are going to migrate back up to supply, which is up there, then I want to be long from there, and I'll take profits there. Then if it finds resistance, I won't close out the whole trade. I take 2/3 of the position off. Wait, see what happens. If it finds resistance there and comes back and stops me out, it was a profitable trade. Because I don't know what price is going to do. I can't see into the future. It just looks like I can, but I can't. Aussie Yen's trade's working out so far. Barely. It's not getting anything going. So I wouldn't doubt it at 9:30 if it doesn't stop me out. Right? But that is a decent bullish reaction at demand. So now your current supply is going to be right at my entry, which is $94. 94,456 is my entry. So yeah, let's see if that holds. Like I said, your first profit target is going to be 94,680. Then you're going to move your stop to break even and see what happens for the rest of the day. Ethereum is starting to get its move up. I don't remember if Ethereum liquidated yesterday's high and low like Bitcoin did. No, Ethereum didn't even get close to yesterday's low. There's yesterday's low on Ethereum. Even if you don't like the volume profile, this box does really good at showing you the daily ranges. And if you're trying to be a day trader, then you're looking for high probable entries inside of that daily range. Right? You're looking for an expansion to occur once you take an entry. So the people right now on Ethereum looking for this to hold as shorts, putting their stop right above that. That's also the reason why I figured if I could get long on Bitcoin and we did get above the point of control, you would probably see a nice little spike to the upside once those stops start to get triggered. But yeah, I mean, it does look like a short. If I get rid of that, you can really see it. Like there's resistance right there. So whoever got short on that tag, that's as tight of a short entry as you can get today on the asset during the New York session. That's why I was looking for this to potentially be as good as a bullish entry as you're going to get, right? That's the only support you have since you got the the London session. Why is this here? That's literally alert for nothing. So yeah, I mean, Ethereum looks like it's trying to hold hourly support, which is better than 30-minute support. 30 minutes, this looks completely different. It's trading completely different than Bitcoin. But there's hourly support. So, I mean, technically, that's your bullish entry. You target that, right? Boom. And if it gets up and above that, then you could potentially see it smoke this high as well. So let me pull up Bitcoin on the hourly. It's a lot different. It's just a bunch of wicks, and that's a nasty close on Bitcoin. But still not below what we were watching. So since we didn't have an hourly support, you go into the 30-minute time frame and you got a support there. And right now it's kind of still holding. This was a much better entry than the entry I took. I was just assuming that when we did this and then when we done that, it was too late. I didn't think you would revisit that area, but you did. And since you did, it doesn't look very strong. Yeah, doesn't look very strong, but that is still the entry if you're looking for longs on Bitcoin. And it's really close to the open of the day. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot for you to get as far as a risk, like where are you going to put your risk. But, you know, that's why it's there. A lot of people are selling this beast or trying to. So 30-minute close below that, then I would scrap the trade. I wouldn't be looking for a 50% retrace on this daily range because where the candles are, how this is forming, it just looks to me like it's going to go higher. That's why I was looking for long positions this morning coming into the live stream. I'm thinking that it's going to go higher, but what I think will happen and what actually happens are two different things. And always it's going to be that way. Right? Let me go over here and just set a profit target on this. Just in case it gets hit. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it if I'm looking at other assets. It wasn't the best risk to reward out there. Right there's 2-to-1, 2 resistance. So we'll drop it down a little bit lower. And we'll set a limit order to close out, what, 3 lots? So we'll sell 3 lots. I need one more 0, dude. Sell 3 lots at limit price 94,654. Limit. Make sure it's limit, because if it's set on market order, as soon as you hit sell, it's going to sell it right there. We don't want to sell it down there. We want to sell it up there. So that's situated so we can basically go look at other things and not be too concerned. What is the SPX doing currently? It's down there tagging hourly demand. There's hourly demand. So that's where you want to see the SPX hold if you think it's going to be a bullish move to the upside. Since this is a CFD and it is on London, we do get volume. Oof. Notice how the volume's at the top end of the range. This is your entire daily range there, encapsulated inside of the box. Your point of control is up here. Price is trading away. It does look like people are trying to sell the high of day or close to the high of day. There's your high of day getting short there. It's a good 2-to-1 risk to reward if you think the low of day is going to get taken out, right? But now, if the sellers are wrong, then you should start to see volume starts kicking up here. These 3 nodes. But at this point, I don't think it's likely. It can happen, but I don't think it's likely. There's where all the volume is. This is the value area right there. You're out of the value area. You're in the shaded portion of it. So looks like you're probably going to see trend continuation. And if that happens on the SPY, it's going to happen on Bitcoin too, more than likely. Don't forget the Mt. Gox. Oh, got that, read that. Yeah, I know. There's supposedly Mt. Gox funds coming back online, and everybody's assuming that those people are going to hit the sell button as soon as possible. And it is possible that that happens. I mean, if I bought it back when Mt. Gox opened, I would probably be selling too. I mean, back in them days, Bitcoin was trading for what? Less than $100? The herd is bearish. It is. Of course it is. Yeah. What do you think about the blue buy? The blue buy on the hash ribbon? I don't know what the hash ribbon is. I don't know if you're talking about a glass node indicator or if you're talking about something else. I don't even know how to read this thing. I'm not really good at on-chain analysis. I'm good at price action analysis. Is it a buy? I don't know what you mean by blue buy. I mean, there is a blue line way up there. See, this is why everybody was looking for this to be the low and this to be the low. They were wrong both times. We were all over this thing, man. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a buy based on other things, right? Just the MVRVZ score. You're in the buy zone. This is the area to be a buyer. Also, you're oversold on the weekly RSI. That's typically a good place to look to be a buyer. Or it has been in the past, obviously. Past performance is not indicative of future results. But in the past, buying at the 200 or at oversold or at this were all the best places to buy Bitcoin in Bitcoin's history. Silver is a good buy for long term. Yeah, silver got destroyed along with gold. I think you're right. For the long term, probably a decent buy. Since it did get crushed. It's definitely cheaper than it was, right? The best buy would have been close to oversold. That would have got you in close to the lows. You're back down there now. These are weekly time frames. You did the same thing on silver as you did on the SPX and on Bitcoin because the dollar was extraordinarily bullish last week. So the dollar basically led everything. If the dollar's cooking it to the upside, risk in Bitcoin and gold and silver are all going to get smoked to the downside. But since dollar's aiming at the fresh high for the year, I don't think I would be looking to buy silver here. Maybe wait for it to get lower or wait for it to print bullish divergence, which it will if you close the weekly down under this area here, right? Then you'll probably get a pullback down close to oversold. And then if it gets that would be bullish divergence on the weekly. But price must close lower than this close in order for that to take place. So it might be a little bit early. Wait for the divergence. Wait for the low. Once you get weekly support built in, then look for a retest of weekly support the following week, and then look to get long then. That would be about the best way to approach it. And as you said, for a long-term hodl. EOS USD. Is this the one that's been bullish for the last couple days? Yeah, it's been bullish the last couple days. It's still bullish. You can't buy it up there. You can't short it either. This goes for CHZ as well. CHZ it's essentially in a short squeeze. It is cooking to the upside. You can't buy that. Down here was your place to be a buyer. $1.28, right? That's daily support. So on this day here, that would have been the time to be the buyer. Now you got to wait for a new support to be formed. Where will it be formed? I have no clue. But you got to wait on that first if you think it's going to continue to go higher. Here's the thing. EOS has been outperforming Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin hasn't found a low, these are going to be the assets of which me and other people are going to be shorting because they've had such a good run back to the upside. EOS at the highs is up 130%, right? And then since we're looking at it, we'll go look at CHZ, USD. There's just nothing to do on it, and I'm sorry about that, but you can't do nothing on this either, right? Unfortunately, this pulled back. It didn't pull back into the support. So it kind of just pulled back in the middle of nowhere. Yesterday, big, strong, bullish candle, getting all the way up to resistance. And then today, boom, over it. Again, from the lows, this asset is up 200%. So a lot of these cryptos, or not a lot of them, but some of them are outperforming Bitcoin in a big, big way. So that is exactly why, like, you don't want to be a buyer when an asset's up 200%. You want to be a buyer when it's, on the lows. That's why we've been trying to get long Bitcoin. We expected Bitcoin to do this last week. This is what I thought Bitcoin was going to do last week. It just didn't happen. So I was wrong on expecting that. But I still 100% believe the low's in. And I will believe it until a fresh low gets put in. So, yeah, I like it where it's at. I'm looking to buy it. I am looking to be a buyer. We got 15 minutes left until the New York Stock Exchange opens. And then I might take another long position on it if it's still trading where it currently is. All right. Looks good to me. Big expansion. And what I like about it mostly is that it took out yesterday's low. That's why I love it. That's why I'm looking for it to hold support. Mr. Jordan Lindsay's going live right now as well. We'll only be on a few more minutes. We're going to be on at least until 9:30 because I want to see how support holds and if it doesn't give us a new position to take. I won't take multiple entries on an asset if I lose money, right? If my first trade is unsuccessful, then I'm done for the day on it. But I will take multiple entries on an asset if I'm already up on the day 50 or 60%. You know what I mean? Then that means I have money I can risk. So 100% I will take another entry on this. But I want to get it close as I can to this price down here. And I don't necessarily want to do it before 9:30 because it's been killing a lot of people taking those entries at 9:30. We may get a spike down here, take out this low. Then if it finds support, we'll look for longs. But at the same time, I still don't want to see a close below 21,341.26. And the Aussie yen trade we took is doing good. It's not quite up there to our take profit, but it is doing good. It's doing really good. This is a 2-to-1 risk to reward, so we got to give it time. But if I wanted to, I could absolutely take profits right now as I am up more than 1-to-1 on the trade. But I think it's going to hit my target. And then that's it. So far, I wasn't able to take the profitable trade on Bitcoin live, unfortunately. But if this holds, if that price holds, we will take the trade together. We will take it. So we're just kind of waiting. Good afternoon, young Heath. Thank you, Brooke. Regarding the Aussie yen trade, did it concern you that we had daily supply right above our entry? It did. It did. Mainly the reason why I took it is because it was lagging Aussie Swiss, right? If the trade's going to be bullish based on Aussie strength, then the Swiss franc might be a little bit weaker than the Japanese yen today, and that may be why the Swiss franc's actually, working out better. The original trade entry in the Discord for the long was Aussie Swiss. So, and you're part of the Discord. So you can go into the Forex part and you'll see where I called that entry. Let me just go ahead and see if I can get it pulled up real quick while we're just waiting. Here, I'll do a screenshot of it as to not get anybody else's name in there. Alright, so right here, right, today, 7:24 a.m., good morning, Aussie Swiss on watch for longs. If it loses 0.66404, then leave it as it isn't bullish. And then Aussie yen, I liked it better based on the 21 exponential and the 50. Aussie Swiss was under the 21 and under the 50. So I was thinking to myself, well, I don't want to take the Aussie Swiss trade because it could potentially roll over here. And if it rolls over, then Aussie yen's going to roll over. But as far as technicals go, like the 21 and the 50, the Aussie yen looked much better for the trade. But this one actually ended up being the better trade because there's your high of day. You've already hit targets. So we would be in and out of this one, right? Old daily support, boom. But that happened before us. We were here when I posted that picture. We were on this candle when I posted it. So even though we lost it, because I said I didn't want to see it lose it, the very next candle showed you that that was a trap. And then look what happened right after that. That would have been the entry. Boom. Right there. So we broke down, we closed below support. So I'd have been like, I don't like it so much now. But then this session, boom, boom, look where it closed. So my entry would have been right there at that white line. And look right here. See this wick? That would have been your entry. Stop there. Right under support. So I did not take that trade for full whatever transparency or whatever guys like to say. There's your 2.85 to 1 risk to reward, and the entry was flawless. We teach this day in, day out, day in, day out. We're consistent in the way we teach. We're consistent in the way we hammer out these trades. Most of the live streams that we've done on YouTube have been successful. If you go back and watch every single live stream since I started doing them during the New York session, we've only lost one. The rest of them were all good. Right? Now during the Discord, we've lost more than that, but I'm live more there than I am here. But it's consistency's key. Obviously, this thing's doing great. Here's our profit target on that. So, I mean, it's at an area that concerns me, just intraday wise. But as far as being at daily supply, we were above it. So we closed above it yesterday, not yesterday, but the day before. And I went over this at the beginning of the stream. The reason why I liked it is because we did close above it. Remember, anytime you close above a daily supply or a daily demand zone, that could lead to price moving on up to go test resistance. Or if you're looking at demand and you close below demand, then that could mean that price is probably going down to test support. Okay? So that's why I always say, as long as you're not closing a daily above supply, you can look for shorts if the trend matches the direction and all that. So yeah, we're just waiting for that. Hopefully it gets taken out. You can see that we've already made a high of day. So it doesn't, that's why I'm not targeting the high of day. I'm trying to get my profits in just before resistance. And it is very choppy, right? Very choppy. The London session, again, would have been the best time for entry. As soon as you smoke that liquidity right there, you could have gotten long. There's your liquidity. Here's your Asian session, London session. Boom, liquidity smoked. Boom, straight up. That would have been the trade. You Londoners are very, very lucky. Maybe I'll just set my alarm clock from 2 o'clock from now on, and I'll put the Forex exchanges out of business too. I'm working on taking crypto exchanges out of business. Obviously, that's a joke. They have way more money than I do. Sorry, not month, week. Ha. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it is pretty close to the weekly open, for sure. Yeah. Good morning, Heath. Good morning. Can you look at Adam? Looks like it's... What time is it? Yeah, we got 5 minutes. So, yeah, let me go look at it. And then I'll read the rest of your comment. I lost it. There it is. Can you look at Adam? Looks like to be setting up for a decent short on the daily. Oof. No. See how much bullish momentum you have? That's not decent short. What's going to end up happening is, well, the only way I would have taken this short, right, is if this failed there. The fact that you're trading well above it, the fact that you've already traded well above resistance means you're bullish and very bullish. You're above the 50, man. You're above the 21 now as well. 21's probably going to be right through here somewhere. You're above it. We don't look for shorts on bullish assets. Occasionally we will if we get like a specific setup, like a liquidation run on a previous day's high or a liquidation run on a monthly high or something like that. Then we get a bearish rejection. Then we'll take those. But, I mean, you haven't liquidated anything on Atom. There's nothing there for a setup. At all. Not for me. It could be for you depending on how your trading rules, or depending on if your trading rules allow you or not to take the trade. I don't know what you're looking at and stuff. So all right, let's get ready over here. Let's get Bitcoin back up over here because this is the asset. Oh, it looks like we're not going to get an entry. Yep. It's already rocking to the upside. SPX right into hourly supply there, or demand, apologies. That's also daily support. I think that was daily support. I don't want to be... Pound dollar being a little bit bullish. Yeah, there it goes. I may have missed it, or because it came down and took me out. Bastard. Even Aussie Swiss is being a bastard. I mean, Aussie Yen. So here comes the open, 2 minutes away. Security sucks on Solana. Yeah, it's definitely bullish today, so... Well, not today, but... No, wait, Solana wasn't the one we just looked at for a short. That was Atom. Requires 100 to get on the wait list. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Solana's coming out with a phone. It's $1,000. Costs $100 to get on the waiting list. So it's a cryptocurrency that's trying to get into the cell phone industry. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Can I take a trade on any trading session so as long as the entry is good, or should I always wait? New York or London? I always tell people to avoid the Asian session, Pete, because the Asian session is usually the very beginning of a daily range. And although sometimes, like if you get short during the Asian session, the trade will work out if it's going to be bearish for the day. But usually the Asian session is the fake out run on the day. It's like it'll go down, it'll put in a low, and then trade sideways until the London session, and the London session goes in and smokes that low, and then usually that's when you want to take the entry. I trade a New York session because, well, I sleep during the nights. Maybe if my girl didn't work, maybe I would start getting up at 2 o'clock and trading the New York session, but she works normal hours, so I don't necessarily want to be doing stuff like that. Like if I got up, my office is right next to my bedroom, so I don't necessarily want to keep her awake and banging on keyboards. So SPX is absolutely finding support at hourly demand, but it don't mean nothing. The first 15 minutes could just be, you know, that spike to the upside. Aussie Yen trade is getting ready to, or hopefully it's getting ready to take profits. I mean, I'm already one for one, or 1 for 2, because I already took profits on Bitcoin, right? So that trade was successful. And if anybody got long there, because we've been talking about that price all morning, right? It's that 30-minute support zone. You might want to take profits if you did take that entry, just in case this does roll over. Brian was talking about long yesterday on Apple. I was not feeling good yesterday, so I wasn't very active after we ended the stream. But I think he ended up doing good on it. I'm not sure. Let's go over here and look and see what Mr. Apple's doing today. I'm not sure what you did there, but it definitely had a pullback for the rest of the day. So I don't know if you went long or not. What is that line? Oh, I know what it is. I'm just trying to get stuff situated over here on my Bitget account. I'm not taking the long up here, guys. There's no way. If it's down here, I'll think about it. I'm not doing it up there. I think this is probably the only chance you're going to get on it for the rest of the day. If it comes back down to it here in a minute, it's going to look pretty bad. You can see that we're just about to get triggered out of this trade. I did take this same exact trade on my real account as well. It looks exactly like that. Same everything. So if this gets taken out, then obviously on the other account, I'm going to know it's good as well. And that's also how to take profits and leave the rest on. You just set a sell limit order with the amount you want to close up there. SPX just touched it again. There we are. We're out of that. It was a profitable trade. We just bring our stop up, move it up like that. This trade is done and protected. You can't lose money now. It's over. So we're 2 for 2 on the day. SPX gave you another test. Oh wait, no, that's still the open. Sorry, it didn't. I thought this was a new candle. Watching too many monitors here. So you can see there's the entry was taken on this candle. There's the exit taken on that candle. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, Bitcoin's getting ready to rock and roll. So we were right on direction on the day so far. But it's not going to come down and give me another swing at it, which pisses me off to no end. Because when it came down here and done this, it took me back, it took me out. Because once I took profits on the initial move, I moved the stop up. So obviously it came down, took me out. It's still a fantastic trade though. Looking at the P&L, it looks yummies. Apple is getting a slight bounce today. So what I would do on Apple is I'd probably just see if it, as long as the open holds, you could probably look to buy some calls, take profits up around 170. I can see it getting to 170 today. That'd be a big move, but I can definitely see it happening. So let's get this gone since we've taken profits on it. Let me see if whatever is up real big on the day. Nothing's up real big on the day as far as penny stocks goes. Well, that this scanner gets anyways. Hang on one second, I gotta turn on a fan. Probably going to hear a humming sound. I apologize about that. I am going to get a better mic. Yeah, Bitcoin's gone, man. Fresh high of day almost. So good for anybody that took that and didn't get stopped out. What's over here? What's big movers today? CHZ is up big again today. It's up almost up 7% on the day. Yeah, it looks like it's the biggest mover on the day. Right BBWP indicator, it measures volatility, and look on a 4-hour. Yeah, I mean, but all right, let's do it. So what am I looking at exactly? Your volatility's on the lows. So what are you trying to say? Is that a sell? Is it a buy? I don't understand this indicator. I've had a lot of people say it to tell me to use it. I don't know why. I don't know what it does. If it measures volatility, I mean, from what I can tell, it doesn't call trades. If you try to use this indicator to actually take positions, you're going to get smoked, right? Because your volatility topped out here. But obviously it didn't, because it didn't make fresh lows. It did make a fresh high over here, but that's when you were down on the lows on volatility. I mean, I can just look at candlesticks and tell if they're volatile or not. This, when you're trading sideways, is a volatility compression. I don't need this indicator to tell me that volatility is compressed in this range. I know it is. I can see it. But I have another indicator that I use that I like better, that measures volatility, and I like to look at it on the 5-minute time frame because it shows you volatility expansions as well. That was a volatility inspection, right? You just took out the hive day, so volatility expanded a little bit right there, not a lot. But this indicator will also tell you if volatility is expanding or not, or declining. I don't have it over there. I have it over here. I'm just waiting for it to kick on here. Internet must be lagged up. I'm not dropping any frames. There we go. There. Oh, that's volatility expanding and declining. Decreasing and declining. So your volatility expansion here wasn't very big, but it was. We know it was. And then in this range, yeah, it's been compressed. I mean, it does a pretty good job of finding lows and highs. So getting long up here, not the best trade, right? Just based on the daily range itself. You're trading at the high of day. But for a quick scalp, which is what we do, it's beautiful. Beautiful. But I don't understand the BBWP. I think it's from another channel. He invented it or something, or somebody in his community invented it. I don't know what it is for, like, or how you can use it to identify trade setups. The reason that I built this channel, to be honest with you, is simple. I wanted to give people a strategy that is simplified. So if you go on everything that I've been teaching you for the last, almost 2 years now, consistently, your trading's going to get better. 100%. And you don't need to look at stuff like a volatility measurement or Bollinger Bands or moving averages or whatever indicator you like, right? Just whatever indicator, MACDs, stochastics. You don't have to look at any of them. We're just taking trades based off of opens and closes and trending. That's it. And we don't really need an indicator to tell us when something is trending and when it's not. We know, we can see it. Moving averages will help with the trend. RSI will help tell you like who's in control of an asset. Is the bears in control of it, or are the bulls in control of it? Right? Those things are nice. So basically, I guess what this means, well, let's go back to the other one, is since the volatility's on the lows, we're looking for potential expansion to the upside. Is that what it means? If you would have, I don't know if this is a sell signal, but if it is, you would have got smoked. In fact, it was telling you to sell the low. So I don't know if that is a sell signal, but if it is, and you sold that, you sold the absolute low. Be careful with these indicators, guys. Buy signal here. You bought, well, depending on if you bought this candle or the next candle, you bought, and boom. You see what I mean? Here it did okay. No, it told you to sell here and then expansion. So maybe the decline, maybe what you're looking for is you're waiting for this indicator to bottom out, and then you're looking to get into long positions. So that way, if the volatility measure starts to expand and Bitcoin starts to trend, maybe you could use it that way, right? But I mean, you don't need this indicator to tell you if volatility is compressed in this or not. Here's a volatility expansion. Here's a volatility compression, right? The last 3 days have been tiny, tiny ranges. That's volatility compression. And I am looking for an expansion to the upside. So, but I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just don't know how to use it. So I don't. I've been looking at it for the last couple weeks, and I can't get an edge on it just by looking at that. It gives me no edge at all. Not one that I already don't know anyways. It doesn't, let me put it to you this way. This indicator does not make my edge better or worse. I just don't use it. Right? But I'm not going to shit on anybody. I mean, to be able to build this is fantastic. That's a skill in itself. That's coding, right? You got to be a coder to build these indicators on TradingView. I'm not a coder. So maybe if the guy that invented it could explain it to me, maybe then it would make sense. But just looking at it and trying to get it, trying to build my own explanation of what it does, it's not going to happen. But that's it, right? Here, I'll show you. BBWP. I think what it stands for is Bollinger Bands with percentile, whatever. I don't know I don't know what it does. Let's use the Bollinger Bands on a 4-hour. Yeah, I mean, you can see that the Bollinger Bands itself started compressing here. But in reality, the compression started here. The compression and volatility started here. And it's been that way since. So all indicators lag price, guys. All of them do. There is no indicators that's going to tell you what price is going to do. Just stick with me. I promise you, you're going to be better at trading than you would have if you never listened to me. That's a promise. So, as you can see, we cleared out today's high, and now we're getting a rejection. There was today's high. And that happened from the London volatility expansion. And we compressed sideways for a little bit, and then boom, new high, but a rejection. That is consistent with low volatility environments, right? Choppy price action. But if you took the long and then took profits close to the high, you're going to be successful. And then you're done for the day. You don't look for new setups later. You're just done. You're waiting for the next day for whole new data, so that way you can build a whole new bias. Fantastic stuff. Trading is so awesome when you get good at it. It's just, it can change your life. Change your life. DAX Germany woke up and rallied for an hour before fading the rest of the morning. Yeah, it's because everything's down. Risk is down. The SPX, if it catches a bounce, more than likely it's going to be faded. And it's already been faded. So you got a little bounce on the first 5-minute candle. So yeah, it's already been faded. You got 12 minutes to this hourly close. And as of right now, what you don't want to see is you don't want to see this hourly close down here. Because if it does, then that gives you the likelihood of potentially seeing a new low of day. It's not guaranteed, but you know. Now, if I was going to short Bitcoin, like if I had a bearish bias on it, if I thought that since the volume profile is in the middle of or at the high of days, I would be looking to take my short entry right there. And then I'd be putting my stop above the high of day. That's your high of day, your new fresh high of day. If you close an hourly above this price, then exit that short. Because the likelihood of the next hour being a bearish engulfing is not likely. This will be the most volume that you get for the rest of the day. We can look at it up here. So wherever this hourly candle closes, you see how it's the spike in volume? The next hour candle will be lower. And then the next lower, and then the next lower, and so on and so forth for the rest of the day. So that's why we're trading live, and we're waiting for 9:30 to occur, so that way we can get that last volatility spike. And if you look, the London session spike in volume, to be fair, this volume spike was bigger because that was at the high of day. So naturally, that's where sellers are going to start kicking up. But here is your volume spike. So Asian session here, London session here, volume spikes, then volume comes down a little bit, then you get the New York Open, you'll get a couple hours of a volume spike, and then it'll trend down for the rest of the day, the volume will. Alert on Aussie dollar. Why? I didn't set that today. Nice. I must be getting a yen spike in strength as well because Aussie dollar looks good. Let's see what the DXY is doing. Woohoo! Yeah, I wouldn't short Bitcoin, guys. Not there at that level. We were looking for longs this morning. The long trade is going to be the right trade for the rest of the day, more than likely. Don't buy it up here either, though. Just because this thing's getting a spike to the downside means nothing. And did we have any news? Let's go see. I don't think we did. I'm not good at looking at the economic calendar. So I don't trade news. Or I do, but it's just based on what I'm seeing on the charts already. Yeah, we didn't have nothing. We're not going to have nothing. What's tomorrow? Go ahead and find out right now. Tomorrow we're going to have durable goods orders, durable goods sales, whatever. That's nothing big. I mean, it can move the market, but it probably won't. Yeah, not a whole lot on the docket. Thursday is when Jackson Hole starts. So Thursday the markets might be volatile. Very volatile. All right, let's go down, read some more of these comments. Charles Edwards created an indicator called the hash ribbon. Yeah. The first blue dot on the hash ribbon doesn't indicate a low. There can still be a drop afterwards. The signal can be invalidated despite printing. Okay. Yeah, just getting rid of indicators altogether will basically help you. I can see Wes is answering questions. Okay, since you're, I guess I'll look into it and see what all the fuss is about. Look at that, beautiful. Long trade was the trade this morning on Bitcoin. See, that's a little bit of volatility there, but it's not that big of a move considering you're at the top of the daily range. But we also know that point of control has shifted to down a little bit. You see that? I told you it was going to move. It was up here. That's why we were concerned about the long trade. But if the day was going to be a long, the volume profile would shift, and it has. It has shifted down to support. I used the volume profile tool to build the strategy essentially. And now the way I teach you is just more simplistic. Volume profile, if used correctly, is a powerful, powerful tool. Like, I don't really care about volume by time, which is the volume down here. I only want to know where did the most volume trade inside of the daily range, because it gives you, it can help you identify small trends that are getting ready to start. So here on the 4 hour, this was a sell day, obviously, but the volume profile was in the middle of the day. Been choppy, right? Down. If your volume profile migrates to the upside, then they start migrating higher. That's good for potential next day looking for longs as well. What is Ethereum doing? Is it up more now? Yep, Ethereum was lagging Bitcoin. It has taken the lead. We may just start trading Ethereum instead. I mean, it's always either beating it to the upside or beating it to the downside. If it is an outperformer as far as percentage gains goes, then I'm going to start trading it more than Bitcoin. The reason I like to trade Bitcoin is because I am accumulating more. I am taking these trades on the inverse swap contract most of the time. I very rarely trade anything else. So that way I can accumulate more Bitcoin. I started with a very small amount on this platform, and it has almost 3x'd since I've been trading on Bitget. It's nice. But beautiful stuff there. The dollar's coming off. And this is the hourly time frame. Remember, that's your hourly supply. So that would have been your short entry if you had a bearish bias on the dollar. And boom, down. Looking good. Glad I took profits on Aussie yen, because the yen is obviously getting strength, because we're back to being red on the day. All right, so that pretty much clears us for the rest of the day. We're looking for Bitcoin to just continue up for the rest of the day. Let me answer some more of these questions and then we'll wrap it up. I have some GOX Bitcoins. We haven't heard anything about disruption or distribution date yet. Yeah. Do you really think there's still a big chance of this retracing to 27 still today? No. No, because you liquidated yesterday's low. This was yesterday's low. Right here. You liquidated it. Right? So no. Your retracement back to 20,770 is not going to happen. And if it does, it's going to look very bearish. I think we're going to visit 17K. USD JPY. Yeah, it's got a big move down. Let me get rid of the volume. Yeah, but I mean, it's been migrating up as well. It took out support yesterday. Resistance. So if it turns yesterday into a trap, because there's resistance here, we might be watching USD JPY for shorts. And you do have a bearish engulfing. See how you took out yesterday's high? Then now you just took out yesterday's low. And yesterday was the candle that broke above resistance. So tomorrow, if this thing closes below this white line today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will more than likely be looking to short the USD JPY tomorrow. It's very bullish and it is against trend, but this day, if it's a big red day, maybe we can take a swing at it to the downside. I can't imagine that this isn't going to go back up and make fresh highs though. But it might not, because there is such a thing as a lower high. And as long as this high remains intact, no matter how aggressive this move was to the upside, if that high stays intact and this rolls over, this is going to be a lower high. And then you will be looking for a trend to commence back to the downside. Right? So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on USD JPY. It's already on watch, so we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Okay, thanks, dude. I don't even know what I answered, but you're welcome. What would be your entry on Bitcoin? We already discussed that this morning, like early this morning when we first started the live stream. We were watching 30-minute support. That was the entry, right? Right there. This was the entry. Right here. And then this was your profit target. It's already happened. The trade's over. There's no point in looking for any new longs or shorts on Bitcoin today. I'm going to wake up for London. He's streaming London would be amazing. Yeah, I can't do it though because my girl's asleep, unfortunately. Maybe I can kick her out. That's a joke. That's a very rude, cruel, disgusting joke. I love her so much. I would never do that. We'll just stream through London. To be honest with you, I mean, stream through New York. But to be honest with you, streaming London would be much better or easier on my internet, because I have great internet before 5:30 in the morning. ICE NYSE. It got massively beat down, but it looks like it's trying to rebound. It looks like the SPX, only not as big. I mean, the rally wasn't nowhere as big as the SPX, but its bear market started about the same time. You can see it traded up to the 50 and failed. But as long as it's trading above, say, 102.41, I think you're safe for upside continuation. I don't know what Intercontinental Exchange Inc. is or what it does, but there's your 2020 pandemic. So I mean, it trades pretty much like this, like all risk. There are daily supports to watch before that weekly area, so I would not want to see it close a daily under 104.30. If it did, I would probably be looking to sell any rips, looking for a potential lower high, because that's a pretty big move. It's more of a pullback than it should take, in other words. Your trend is still intact. If you take out support, it won't be. That's why I'm saying, you take out that daily support right there, then you will have lost your uptrend. So yeah, but you got a couple places to look for support. Don't forget to hit the likes, folks. Yeah, if you don't mind, go ahead and smash them up for me. We did look at USD JPY. We talked about it. We're looking for it. Tomorrow we're going to watch it for potential shorts. Brooke banging on keyboards. Yeah, because I'm a 2-finger typer. And I'm always in the, like most of the time, I'm in the Discord and I'll be to type responses to people. Yeah, she gets annoyed if I stay up late on the computer. It keeps her up. Bitcoin Cash has been moving up. Let's go look at it. Yeah, it's done okay. That was nice there, but it made a lower high. and a lower low. So, I mean, this looks to me like your trend is essentially changed, right? Because here's your low, and you just took that out. It wasn't with a close, though. Yeah, the close was close. So, in order for me, I mean, this is any pushback up to or around 155, and then a failure is going to look like a lower high. And then it's going to look like, time to start shorting it. Yeah, so we just exited Aussie yen. That's why taking profits is so vitally important in this business. So from the low to high, it's moved 72%. So it has been moving a little better than Bitcoin. Gold bounce off. Don't know what you mean by that. BBWP. Wait, where did that go? Son of a biscuit. I just seen. Oh, I've only found useful info with BBWP on higher time frames, like minimum daily, and then you need something to get. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. I doubt it's a very good indicator for day traders. ETH trades double Bitcoin most of the time, either way. It does appear to do so. Yes, it does appear to do so. I don't know if it's consistently, if that works consistently, but it does appear that it does. This morning, Bitcoin was up not quite 1%, and ETH was down like 1.3%. So ETH has already come back to being green on a day and caught Bitcoin, and you're above it. You're definitely doing better. Thanks, man. Great times. Don't kick your girlfriend out, brother. Oh, I'm not going to. That was a joke. Just a joke. Back above the weekly open, which is good. Then that starts to look more and more like the weekly low is in. Right? But it has to stay. So now what we'll probably do, Tom, moving forward, is we'll watch that for longs. Well, not there. Here. So it depends on how Bitcoin closes today, but as long as it closes good, it doesn't have to close above this high, but if it, even if it gets above the high, just as long as it closes above last week's open, then we'll probably be looking to buy any retest of this area here, looking for that trend continuation back to the upside. Remember, we're looking for price to expand up to at least weekly supply. Awesome. All right. CAD yen, we've already looked at Aussie yen. We took an Aussie yen trade. So you're just catching us too late, unfortunately. We start these live streams at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and typically we're already in a trade or we're getting ready to take one. But CAD yen looks okay. Looks like it's stalling at resistance. As long as you don't take out this candle's low, it's going to look okay for bullish continuation. You are above the 50. That means you're above the 21 as well. So you don't want to see this low get taken out. If this low gets taken out, then this bullish breakout, which is this candle, will be a trap. But typically when I'm looking for a trap, I want to see the trap candle's low get taken out the next day, because that is usually going to be a much stronger signal. If it takes 3 or 4 days to take out that low, then I don't necessarily see that as a trap, right? And you're 2 days in here, so if you get down there and take it out today, it starts to look a little bit trappy. But if it takes days to do it, then it won't. But unfortunately, there just isn't any support to look for here. If you think it's going to be bullish, then it should become bullish right now, since you just liquidated yesterday's low. That's an awful momentous move to the downside, so there's no way I would want to take that long. But if you are looking for longs, that's where you want to get long. Stop below the low. Maybe wait for this candle to close, create a support, wait for the next hour to come in, test that support. That's where you take your entry, as it gives you a little bit more of confidence that the bullish trade will work. So you have liquidated yesterday's low. If that was all this move was to do, is to liquidate yesterday's low, For bullish continuation, that's the price to watch. 105.028. The Aussie yen trade, like I said, we've already taken it. We took it here. There was our profit target. You can see that that trade has been stopped out. There's nothing to do on this. We've already done it. I do think that it will continue maybe to be bullish. Let's look at it on Oanda. As what is going on here? I have no idea what's going on here. I guess I took it on both. I don't know. Anyways, because the other one was stopped out. This was the one we took the trade on. This one. So why is it on Oanda too? Have to look into that. Alright, so anyways, here's Oanda. I just wanted to look at Oanda to get rid of the gaps. You're above the 50. What happened? Did I delete all my indicators? No, there it is. You're above the 50. So as long as you can maintain that bullish control, we're looking for upside on it. Right? Next daily support to look if it does break down is there. 93,698. Then you could potentially look for long entries back to the upside. I won't like it as much if it does break down because daily supply is there. And although it's structured bullish, or it's more bullish than bearish, let's say that, yeah, I think this is going to end up moving higher. You closed above supply yesterday. Maybe it takes out yesterday's low and then goes, right? Price is designed to do one thing and one thing only. It's to liquidate old swing highs and old swing lows. When you get that concept into your head, you're going to take a lot better entries. And also, you just must be patient. You just got to be patient. If the trade setup isn't there, you wait till the next day. You guys have a fantastic day. If I missed your question, I apologize. But you can drop a question in the comment section, and I will answer it because I do read all comments. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.